I think that my sentence and many other sentences like mine for nonviolent offenses is what you call overkill. So to receive clemency is a blessing in itself. I filed for it in 2010 on my own, really like a drowning man reaching for a spider web. I really didn't believe in the process. So I got on the phone, and it's my attorney, David Ogden. And he said, well, I have some good news for you. I said, what's going on? He said, well, I'd like to tell you that President Obama has granted your clemency. So I was speechless. If you can quite imagine, and it would be hard for you to sit there and say that I had life without parole means I would never go home, to my life being about to change in the twinkling of an eye, to whereas I have a new date now 4 months down the road. How do you process that? I'm still trying to transition because 24 and a half years and I only been out 7 months. Of course, you could imagine everything is 3D to me. I'm having big issues with the smartphone. It's smarter than I am, and when I went in, cell phones was the size of the camera. So it's a journey. I'm learning the metro. I had to learn how to drive again. I had to learn the different prices because of the fact that my whole life has been around prison prices, making $50 to $60 a month, trying to budget it, using the telephone, using the new email system. $70 don't go far. I was indicted in 1990 for conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine. I went to trial for 4.5 months in Baltimore. I'm a resident of Washington, D.C. At the end of trial, the jury found me not guilty of conspiracy and 848, which is a kingpin charge. I was found guilty on 6 counts of distribution. I was sentenced to life without parole for those nonviolent drug offenses. I began to question myself on, where do I start this at? How do I start it? I was 22 years old in a crazy environment that I had no idea of what and how to function in. So I began to work on myself. Throughout my time of being incarcerated, took many classes, many courses, and then after a while I started creating courses. And my purpose for creating courses was because I started seeing the population come in younger and younger and younger. And I realized that if you don't get a grip on how you're going to do time, then time is going to do you. I would have died in jail. So that kind of sentence is super punishment. And people that have actually committed murder don't get sentenced like that. And to have to carry that for 24.5 years is a pretty heavy burden. You know that there's a season when the fruit or the vegetable is ripe. And if you pick it then, it's at its best. But we also know that the next stage is rotten. And what happens that if you leave us in prison when we ripe for picking, and if you leave us in there too long, we can become rotten. And as I've seen many people left in prison to when they were ripe for picking, these draconian sentences have left them in there and they're rotting away. And in the process of them rotting away, society loses out on the gifts that we have to give them.